Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today is Tuesday, January the 26th, 2016. I want to talk about the unjust firing. Let me rephrase that. The unjust firing of David Blatt, which took place this past weekend. Now, for those who are unfamiliar, David Blatt was the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, why do I call this firing unjust? Let's look at it from a number of angles. Number one, he was the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers when they went to the finals last year. They was 2 games away of winning winning the finals. Okay, and this year they were a team that was struggling. They wasn't stranded or mired in mediocrity. This was a team that was 30-11. And all of a sudden, David Blatt was let go, dismissed, relieved of his duties, fired. Whatever term you want to use, that's what it was. Now, I'm going to tell you why I'm not surprised that it happened, though I didn't like it. Number one, here's why I wasn't surprised that it happened. He was set up to fail from day one. Let me explain to you why. Because, see, when he took that job, which was July of 2014, he took the head coaching job around June, July of 2014. That was supposed to be a young team. You know, they was just drafted Andrew Wiggins. You know, they had Anthony Bennett. They had a young nucleus, a young core. Okay? At that time, there was no talk of LeBron James coming back home to Cleveland, this, that, and the other. Or the talk was there, but there was nothing concrete, nothing official, because James went dark during that whole period. So anyway, when he gets hired to take over that team, remember now, this is a man who had no NBA experience. All his coaching experience took place out in Europe. Okay? So, once LeBron James finally made up his mind to make the announcement to go back to Cleveland, David Blatt was in a no-win situation. Because him and LeBron never had a relationship, because he never technically coached here in the States, LeBron didn't have the same level of respect for David Blatt. So Blatt was already behind the 8 ball from day one. See, to me, LeBron didn't do him any favors, and LeBron didn't do himself any favors, because LeBron knew that Cleveland was looking for a head coach when they fired Byron Scott after the season. So that he knew that they were looking for a head coach, and LeBron knew by the end of the finals, folks. LeBron already knew he was not going back to Miami. Don't let LeBron tell you any different, or anybody else tell you any different. Because if you go back to one of my recent segments, okay, I told you that LeBron was going back to Cleveland. So don't buy any of that, well, LeBron didn't have his mind made up and he was unsure crap. No, he already knew he was going back to Cleveland. So if you knew you were going back to Cleveland and you knew Cleveland was in the market for a head coach, don't you think you might want to give Cleveland the heads up ahead of time to say, listen, you could have spoke to Dan Gilbert, keep it under wraps, but I'm coming back home. Now you and Dan Gilbert could have worked out who would the coach be. Because to me, this firing of David Blatt falls squarely on LeBron's shoulders. Because nothing goes down in the city of Cleveland, okay, when it comes to the Cavaliers that doesn't have LeBron's handprints on it. Nothing goes down without LeBron's handprint on it. He's the kingmaker, okay? He's the big cheese, the head boss, the head honcho, okay? So nothing goes down without LeBron James's seal of approval. So anyway, so that should have been the way that LeBron handled it, but LeBron didn't handle it that way. And so throughout the season, there was always, quote-unquote, reports of tension between David Blatt and LeBron James. And that was a battle that David Blatt just could not and was not going to win. So There was always reports of him potentially getting fired, this, that, and the other. So, see, I already knew that David Blatt was a goner. It wasn't a question of if, it was just a question of when. Now, usually when coaches get fired, what star players do is they set it up. They set it up to get the coach fired by they go on long losing streaks, or they're mired in mediocrity, like, or they're around 500, something like that. In other words, where they should be much better than what they were. And here was the reason they mentioned for his firing. Oh, we were struggling, and what he did was not good enough. Folks, when you're 30-11 and you sitting on top of your conference, if that's not good enough, what is? You're not better than Golden State. You're not better than San Antonio. You're not. David Blatt or no David Blatt, you're not beating those teams. Right now, you're worried about the teams in your conference. So you would say, well, Jermaine, if you wanted David Blatt out, let's say you were LeBron James or whatever, and you wanted David Blatt out, how would you have done it? Here's how I would have done it. You go on a 6-8 game losing streak in the middle of the season. Or you get off to a really bad rough start. There's a number of different ways you can do it, but you want to have a nice prolonged losing streak, so this way it makes it the noise of the firing less loud. Because I agree totally with Stan Van Gundy. If David Blatt did not do a good job, then why do we all have jobs? Because technically, he's sitting on top of the conference. So how come we all still have jobs? Because he did the best job of anybody in the conference. And Stan Van Gundy was right. But I'm going to say this. It wasn't just LeBron James that stuck the knife into him. It was a member of his coaching staff that did it too. Give me a minute. Sorry. Okay. See, when a coach, I don't care what sport it is, when a coach or a manager, if we're referring to baseball, hires or bring on a staff or assistant, what that person is hoping for is loyalty. It's very important that your staff is loyal to you, loyal to the cause. Unfortunately, what we're seeing in today's day and age is assistants who loyalty is not to the head coach, but it's to the organization, it's to the players, it's to somebody other than the head coach. And what that does is it creates an environment where when the coach has no loyal soldiers around him, he can be in a position to be fired. And this is what happened here. Tyronn Lue basically stuck the knife into David Blatt. Now, Tyronn Lue going to try to play it off and pretend like he did. But if you listen to some comments by Tyronn Lue, it kind of makes me wonder. Because when they asked him, well, what would you do differently than David Blatt? Because everyone recognized that David Blatt was 30-11. Just coming off a trip to the NBA Finals. Here was Tyronn Lue's comment. It wouldn't be anything different, just better. Oh, whoa. What do you mean by that, just better? So what are you trying to say? David Blatt didn't do a good job? Well, what are you saying? Okay? And it was being reported that Tyronn Lue would chastise players, behind the scenes and stuff. That's not your job. That's the head coach's job. You weaken the head coach when you overstep your boundaries. So Tyronn Lue helped stick the knife into David Blatt. And then now he's trying to come out saying, oh, I'm petitioning that he be the coach of the All-Star game. Why? He was fired. And Tyronn Lue is smart enough to know that the league wasn't going to approve something stupid like that. But what he's trying to do is clean up the mess that he made. because he knows now the onus is on him. Because, see, it's not good enough now to get back to the finals. Because why? David Blatt got you there. So in order to justify this firing, you have to win the finals. You win the finals, then this firing was justified. You don't win the not justified. Well, you can't condemn it. You might not still like the way it went down, but you can't condemn it. But if you don't win the finals, now the question is going to be asked, why did you get rid of David Blatt again? To basically get the same results? So to me, Cleveland handled this all wrong on so many different levels. And you know, LeBron, getting back to LeBron, he has a habit of making poor decisions when it comes. For a guy who's very smart, he makes some curious decisions as to how he goes about handling certain things. Like when he chose to leave Cleveland for the first time. That whole spectacle he put on. That was not the way to handle it. Okay? Not giving the owner the heads up that you're leaving. It was like just moving out in the middle of the night. Then it was his decision to go back to Cleveland. Even that wasn't handled properly because he more or less waited to the last minute to make this move. Okay? But without giving Pat Riley the heads up that I'm not staying in Miami, that I want to go back home. And then again, if you knew you wanted to go back home, why didn't you make it clear earlier so this way that they could get the right coach for you? Rather than going through what you went through here, where now you got to fire a man who really didn't deserve to get fired. And then his handling of the David Blatt firing. And to me, everything, it's like LeBron just do some curious or make some curious decisions in how he does certain things. So, and I'm going to be honest with you, I do not think Cleveland is going to win the finals this year. I don't. And this is going to come back to bite Tyronn Lue and LeBron James in the you-know-what. Now, tomorrow or Thursday, I'm going to explain to you why, if you're Peyton Manning in Denver, you got the worst possible matchup in this Super Bowl you could have gotten. But I want to thank you for watching another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Have a good evening.